ear. The inner ear controls a creature's sense of balance. For land-based predators, maintaining balance is critical. If they stumble, their prey escapes. But in water, animals move in every direction, like a gyroscope. An animal with a sensitive inner ear can quickly become dizzy and disoriented. Over the millennia, the Mosasaur's inner ear begins to dial down the sensitivity, allowing them to quickly twist and spin with no sickening side effects. These evolutionary refinements created a megabeast. The Mosasaur can locate, chase, and catch its prey. But catching is not enough. The Mosasaur has to eat. And the way that it eats is something that almost defies imagination. It's a prehistoric creature so vicious, it makes sharks seem cuddly. With jaws like steel, it's large enough to swallow a human in one bite. This underwater T-Rex is bred only to hunt and to kill. And across the oceans of planet Earth, this megabeast rules. But 95 million years ago, mosasaurs had some serious competition from a familiar denizen of the deep, the shark. Prehistoric sharks, like their modern cousins, are vicious and durable, traveling vast distances, ripping apart any creature that gets in their way. Sharks had been around for over 250 million years when mosasaurs evolved onto the scene. At that time, the largest, fiercest shark in the water was the giant Ginsu shark.
The Ginsu would have, of course, looked very much like a modern great white, a very big, heavy-bodied shark.
At a length of 25 feet, the aptly named Ginsus are over 10 feet longer than a typical great white. With mosasaurs and Ginsus hunting in the same waters, one thing is certain. There will be blood.
There was quite a competitive relationship going on when the big sharks and the mosasaurs were running into each other frequently. And at least at first, the mosasaurs were losing a lot.
There's definite evidence that sharks attack mosasaurs. You can see right here that there are clear bite marks from the arc of the mouth of a shark that was attacking.
These big sharks carved up a lot of mosasaurs. So we find shed teeth, we find bones that are severed during this time.
While an adult mosasaur can hold its own against a Ginsu, there are other mosasaurs.
Mosasaur couldn't do any of that. So what they've done is to basically make a toothed conveyor belt to help sort of tractor the prey down its throat. You can look at mosasaur fossils, and you can look at modern analogs that have a skull that works in a broadly analogous way. But sometimes building a model tells you something you just can't find out any other way.
Dr. Lamb works with Real Effects in North Hollywood, California to build a life-size mosasaur skull, complete with a set of death-dealing jaws. The massive steel jaws are powered by pneumatics instead of muscles and ligaments.
Never thought I'd see a steel mosasaur skull, but this is very cool looking. We've got 3 pneumatics. We've got 2 operators to run it, and we've reduced it to 3 basic motions. One set of pneumatics opens and closes the jaws. One set moves it backwards and forwards. And the third set runs the pterygoids in the roof of the mouth.
The pterygoids are the Terminator teeth. No other ocean predator has them. A second set of teeth running down the roof of the mouth. These are a truly fiendish adaptation.
They actually work independently to move the prey backwards in the throat, and also to hold it still, to pin it down as it opens its mouth for the next bite.
Now we see how these jaws worked in deadly concert. The bite, the ratcheting jaw, the Terminator teeth. Test 1. Find out what the Mosasaur's first bite would do to any creature unlucky enough to get on the wrong end of these teeth.
Mosasaurs had a really big bite. So we've got a piece of foam that would be about the same size as an 8 or 9 foot long shark, or maybe part of the neck of a long-necked plesiosaur. We're going to put it sideways in this Mosasaur model's mouth and just see exactly what would have happened. Well, that's going to leave a mark, isn't it? That's a broken neck. I'm pretty convinced that this thing would have probably killed something with the first bite. First time it bit down and ratcheted back like that, the thing's neck is broken.
Test 2. Measure the capacity of its bite. Very simply, when our metal Mosasaur chomps, how much ersatz meat goes into its mouth?
We've got this piece of foam with 4-inch squares painted on it. We're going to feed it to this Mosasaur and see how much with each bite this thing would have dragged its prey down its throat.
In one bite, our Mosasaur easily consumes 4 feet of flesh. That means this Mosasaur could eat a 20-foot animal in 5 bites. Or an adult human in a single gulp. It's not just the size of the bite. Inside the mouth, the teeth are virtual meat hooks. Dr. Lamb demonstrates with a hunk of ballistics gel, which is similar in consistency to human flesh.
If you put a piece of meat in the mouth, it can't move out because the tips of the teeth grab it like a fish hook. So we're just going to see if we can put this up here on these teeth. You can't come out this way as you're caught on these teeth. The only way you can really go is further into the mouth, which is really not the direction you want to be going. And let's just see what happens here. Well, I don't think there's any doubt that you wouldn't want to be a swimmer in a late Cretaceous ocean. You can actually see tooth marks where it just cut right through about 10 pounds of flesh like it was just butter. That would be nasty. The only good thing about this is that you'd probably be in shock after a bite like this. Maybe you wouldn't feel the rest of it.
Final test. How the jaws perform eating simulated live prey. The first fish is immediately trapped on the barb-like teeth. And the rest? Well, straight down the old Mosasaur hatch. In 20 seconds, our captive Mosasaur can eat 500 pounds of fish. Why? It doesn't bother to chew them.
There's a rapidly vanishing cloud of red and a few scales, and that's all that's left of it.
For dessert, they test an item that Mosasaur never had the opportunity to eat.
Well, I'm not sure what we learned by that, but that was quite satisfying.
It's abundantly clear why Mosasaur is the ultimate success story of evolution, growing from a 3-foot lizard into an alpha predator. Although this megabeast drove all its enemies into extinction, fossil evidence suggests another enemy took their place. And this enemy is something the Mosasaur has never seen before. From its humble beginnings as a 3-foot lizard, the Mosasaur evolved into the most dominant megabeast the world has ever seen. Nothing in the ocean can kill it, let alone live with it. But the threat may have come from another direction.
What we're looking at here is what I would like to call a paleo crime scene. It's a very old cold case file.
Scientists studying Mosasaur fossils find evidence of attacks on these giant reptiles.
There's a healed bite mark here, this raised ridge. There's a second puncture wound here with this lip of reactive healed bone around it.
There are 2 marks up here on the top of the skull, and it probably killed the animal fairly quickly.
What animal is vicious enough to attack the deadliest creature in the sea?
And we can measure the distance between those bites, and we can marry it up with the jaw of another larger mosasaur, and the teeth fit perfectly into those holes.
It makes perfect sense. The only thing Mosasaur had to fear may have been Mosasaur itself. Experts think that mosasaurs engaged in snout wrestling or face biting to establish dominance.
We see really analogous behavior in modern saltwater crocs. Almost always the males, and they're defending a breeding or feeding territory.
A mosasaur battle unfolds like a bizarre undersea ballet. When one establishes dominance, the other gives up and swims away. This type of competition is common animal behavior. But scientists uncover something shocking in this particular set of fossils. Evidence that suggests not simple predation, but something close to murder.
We've got the fossil evidence that shows that mosasaurs killed other mosasaurs, and they didn't eat them. I mean, it wasn't for food.
By looking at the damage on the skull, Everhart believes that this wrestling match turned deadly. The fossil evidence shows the dominant mosasaur clamps down on his opponent's skull.
And as the skull of the mosasaur rolled to the side, these teeth pulled out and left these big drag marks across the bone, very deep wounds.
Not only is the skull crushed, but evidence suggests the killer then broke the victim's neck.
We found the neck laying off like this at a 45-degree angle to the skull, indicating that it's probably broken right up here next to the brain case.
Not even great white sharks or saltwater crocs deliberately kill their own kind.
They killed, kind of like humans, they killed for other reasons than for food. And mosasaurs were different in that regard. We don't see that in very many other animal groups.
Still, scientists believe this gladiator-like behavior would not have caused the mosasaur to go extinct. In point of fact, they seem to thrive on violence. 70 million years ago, with no other competition in sight, mosasaurs continued to evolve, becoming even more diverse.
There's well over 50 species of mosasaurs.
They began moving from the ocean into freshwater, seeking prey in swamps, estuaries, and rivers. Nothing on Earth could have stopped these megabeasts. Nothing on Earth, that is. It took a 6-mile-wide chunk of rock that slammed into the Earth 65 million years ago to end the reign of the mosasaur.
We're talking about something that released as much energy as every nuclear weapon on the planet times 1,000 set off all at once.
The magnitude of this blast causes a shockwave of earthquakes and volcanoes. Mega tsunamis race across the oceans. A cloud of superheated dust and molten rain fills the atmosphere, blocking out almost all of the sunlight. This devastates the food chain. 75% of the species on Earth are wiped out. With its food supply drastically reduced, the Mosasaur is doomed. This cataclysmic event paved the way for the development of mammals and eventually humans. But what if the comet had missed? If mosasaurs had been allowed to thrive, how different would our world be?
We wouldn't have any whales, or dolphins, or porpoises, or seals, or sea lions.
The oceans and all its fish would belong to the mosasaurs.
Bring her down.
Fishermen would find very little to catch, if indeed there were humans on the planet at all.
These would be very ferocious, very hungry, active marine animals that you wouldn't want to share your ocean with.
It's fascinating and frightening to contemplate what might have been had these megabeasts survived. The oceans of the world patrolled by these giant killing machines, 50 feet long, with jaws the size of T-Rex. Always hungry, always waiting, just offshore.